back to Jacob's Family Journey. I'm Robin. Today we're going to use our homemade Bisquick that we made last week, and we're going to make some blueberry lemon scones. Let's get started. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 so that it can be getting. Stop it. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 so that it can get nice and toasty. And while it's doing that, we've got 2.5 cups of baking mix or Bisquick. We've got in here 1 grated lemon. We're going to have the juice of a lemon, 4 teaspoons of butter, 1/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, and that is all, with a pastry cutter and a little bit of flour for your dusting area. We're going to take our butter, and I've already cut it into cubes, and we're going to go ahead and just place it in. And I like to mix it around a little bit before I get to cutting it in. Okay, and if you do not want to use the butter because we have lard or you have coconut oil in, that's fine. If you do not have unsalted butter and you only have salted butter, that is fine as well. It'll just be a little bit more zesty. Okay, and we're gonna get it, and we're not trying to break it up too fine. We're just trying to get it to where it's just good and mixed a little bit, so that butter will be in each, a little bit of butter will be in each scone. Okay, we're going to take our fork here and just brush it off. No big deal. Although I say don't waste your butter. It's pretty expensive in 2016. Butter, I think for a pound of all right butter, it might be on the edges of $3 a pound. So okay, we've got our mixture done, and we're going to take our 1/4 cup of sugar and we're going to mix it right in. We also are going to have add a couple blueberries, but we're going to leave those in the freezer until the last minute, and you will see why. We're going to set our mix aside here, and we're going to take our eggs, crack them in the bowl. Here we go. Now we're going to add our milk together and incorporate them together. Make sure they're nice and mixed well. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to take our lemon and cut it in half, and we're going to use the juice of this lemon that we zested. Okay, and we're going to just take our hands God gave us, our good tools, as long as they're clean, and as long as this is just for your family and not for anyone outside. And a piece of lemon got in there, a piece of a seed, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. Now, don't get rid of your lemons when you're done. You can do a couple of things with your lemons. You can make you a pot of tea and make some sweet tea. You could also make some tea, some hot tea, and quarter it up and put it in your hot tea, or you can put it down your disposal. Cut your disposal on and clean out your disposal. There's so many different things that you can do with that tea, that lemon. Okay, now that we've got our lemon juiced in there, we're going to add in our egg milk mixture and stir it around. You're going to see that it's a little bit watery a little bit. Sometimes. It depends on the climate you're in. It is pretty dry right now. And so just give a second and we'll get our blueberry.
Can you itch my calf?
We've actually been blessed with blueberries from an orchard from Uncle Paul. And so I'm just going to take a small cup. This is about a half a cup. The more the merrier though. I like extra blueberries. My producer's going to put that up for me. And here is why we want to add them at the last minute. I'm going to put some of this stuff away. They bleed. Fresh blueberries bleed. And we don't want the blueberries to thaw in the mix while we're mixing it together. So we don't want it to get too much more purple than that. Okay, we're going to set our mix aside a little bit, and we're going to take a towel because we have egg on our kitchen cabinet, and we are going to take our flour. And for this recipe, for most biscuits, you just do it lightly, dust it down lightly. But for this, you're going to need a good amount of flour. A good little pile. Okay? And then you're going to take your spoon. I would even suggest taking your cutter, your pastry cutter, and dumping it out on your surface like so. There's your pastry cutter. I feel like it's a multi-purpose tool when you need it. Okay. And we're just going to cut this off. Okay. Get back over there. I'm going to actually, I hate wasting. I really do. So I'm going to actually use my new nifty handy dandy spatula that I bought, and I'm going to clear out my bowl. I hate wasting all this good scone batter. Scone batter. So delicious. So awesome. Scone batter. Okay, enough of that. Okay. We got it all. Yummy scones. Got it all. Okay, so you're going to take some of that powder, or flour powder. Powder, flour. And we're going to pat this down. I mean, pat. And you might even have to get some more to add on here. We're going to flour our hands. And we're going to turn it. And with every good biscuit, scones, or whatever you're making, you got to turn it in on itself several times. What this will do for you will create layers. Producer, will you please get me a the rolling pin, please. Okay, so we've rolled this in several times on, folded it in several times on rolled. Folded in several times on each other. And all these wonderful blueberries are just popping out. And I've also managed to get this in a some form of a square. We'll just take this blueberry and pop it in. Okay. All the flour that's around it, don't worry. We're going to use some of it. We're not wasting it. We're going to use some of it to put on my roller. So we got this in a square. You see why you want to add your blueberries at the last end? You see how they're bleeding and running and making a mess, and they're delicious, like just way delicious, but they are messy. Okay, and I like to go back in, shape it up a little bit. Okay, and don't worry about the excess flour. I'm keep saying that, but just don't worry about the excess flour. Okay, so you're gonna take your knife, or if you have a dough cutter, then you can take your dough cutter. I don't have a dough cutter, and I'm not gonna buy one either. So, well, I might in the future. You're gonna cut it in half. Then you're going to cut it in half again. I would not stick my knife into my flour because you have egg in your batter. You don't want to contaminate your whole bucket of flour. Then you're going to cut each of the squares in half again. They don't have to be perfect, people. They're not for outside. They're for your family. Now, I will say this. If you're making this for like a women's luncheon or a brunch at church or something like that, you can cut where there's going to be a whole bunch of food. You can go ahead and suffice it to say, I'm going to do a couple of them. You can also go so far as to cut them again. And so instead of breakfast or a big brunch at home, you have these little bitty mini scones. Okay? So what we got to do is, excuse my pan, I've used this pan a ton of times and I'm just not gonna buy another one just because that one looks that way. Pans are meant to be used. Okay. So we're going to take our scones, and first we're going to take our spatula and just raise them up. What this will do is free it from, if there's any stuck to your board or your cabinet, and it'll free it up for you. Okay. Now, if you're worried, which I'm not worried about it, but if you're worried about excess flour, just dust it off, place it on your pan. Dust it off, place it on your pan. Do you see all these wonderful blueberries? They are so plump and so juicy. And I'm telling you, if there was smell-o-vision, the scone batter smells awesome. Okay, this is sticking a little bit, so we're gonna just, it's the blueberries. They were attached. Okay, and we're gonna do our minis. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. Let's spread this down here. There's a couple of things you can do with your scones. You can ice them with some lemon juice, which also there's lemon juice left in that lemon. You don't need much. Or you could do a vanilla icing, or you can do what I'm about to do. There is a tad bit of juice, milk, egg left in here. bring this forward. There's a tad bit of juice left in here, and I'm just going to brush them. Brush the tops of each of them. You don't have to do this. You don't even have to use this. If you don't want to do this, you can use milk, buttermilk. Heck, I'm going to show you something else you could do in just a second. I just put a couple of teaspoons of water in there. You could even use water. You've already got flour on there. So it's the glue. Makes it into a gluey type mixture. But we're going to baste it. I'm not going to make a powdered sugar mix. But I'm going to use my raw coarse sugar. Make sure you get them all basted pretty good so that your sugar sticks. You don't need much. Just put a little bit in your palm of your hand. That's not much. And just sprinkle. My daughter's over here saying, She knows it's going to be good. Okay. All right. If you feel like you don't have enough sugar in there, I got flour everywhere. Okay, if you don't feel like you got enough sugar, like I see my daughter looking at me crazy, then go back in where you don't, where you don't. At the end of that one, I got it. Munchkin. Okay. And whatever's left. Okay, we've already preheated our oven to 400 degrees. We're going to pop this in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes or until they're golden brown on the top and the bottom. Make sure you watch for the bottom being golden brown as well, because if you don't, you'll get a pretty beautiful top and a pale bottom. And that's not what you want, especially if you're taking it to a brunch. We'll be back. And we're back. We have done a great job. We've got our blueberry lemon scones, and they are awesome. We've got our mini ones that, you know, just in case you're going to a brunch, you can divide them into minis. But if you want the big batch, the big scone of them all, you've got these beautiful risen scones. And if you'll pay attention, they got golden on the back as well as the top. They're light and fluffy, and there's blueberries all in the middle of them. You take a little bit of butter. You don't have to, but hey, why not? And you just slather it with butter. Pair it with a good frittata or a quiche, a nice beautiful tea, and you got yourself a wonderful small brunch or just a couple of awesome items to take to a Sunday brunch. Thank you for joining us at Jacob's Family Journey. Bye-bye.
My God is a quiet God, He hardly ever says a thing.